Some might describe it as a quiet North Texas town, but tonight its mayor has a loud message. He wants to ban abortions. Mineral Wells is a little less than an hour west of Fort Worth. Kevin Reese tells us why its leader wants it to be a sanctuary for the unborn.
Mineral Wells has one well-known towering landmark. The town's newest mayor is proposing one more.
And I was like, oh my goodness, that's incredible. And I don't remember if he had asked or if I just stated, I was like, that needs to go on the agenda so we can start the discussion and see where it leads.
He learned just this last week that the East Texas town of Waskom on the Louisiana border recently passed an ordinance banning abortion and pretty much anything and anyone involved with it, with the exception of rape and incest and protecting the life of the mother.
And abortion at that point became outlawed in Waskom, Texas.
Mark Lee Dixon with Right to Life East Texas says it has turned Waskom into what he calls a sanctuary city for the unborn, making a statement that they hope one day the Supreme Court will get to decide.
Abortion is a great evil of our day, and abortion should be abolished. We want to see it outlawed not just in Waskom, but in every single city in not just Texas, but the entire United States.
And this coming Tuesday, the idea will be presented to the Mineral Wells City Council to see if it is a path they also would like to follow, and like Waskom, Texas, if it's a statement they also would like to make.
The simple matter is, I believe life begins at conception, and because of that, since that life has begun, even in the smallest state, I have a duty as an elected official to protect that life.
Asked for a response from Austin, the executive director of NARAL Pro-Choice Texas said in part, "Every Texan, regardless of income or geographic location, deserves access and has a right to the full range of reproductive health care, including abortion. Just like the Waskom ordinance, the proposed Mineral Wells ordinance is a dangerous attempt to undermine Roe v. Wade and disregards the fact that the majority of Texans believe abortion should remain legal. We will not be intimidated by these unenforceable rogue ordinances. Whether it's considered rogue or an ordinance proposed by a mayor's deeply held religious convictions, this week Mineral Wells begins deciding if it wants to be known for this landmark too." In Mineral Wells, I'm Kevin Reese.